I'll never forget standing in this spot during the Executor's questline in Nightreign. Standing on a cliff, looking out at the lands between. While doing the questline, I actually stood here for a good couple of minutes just thinking, imagine if I could get over there with this character. Imagine how much fun I could have. Hey guys, Thingfishy here. So after thinking about it for weeks, I could wait no longer, so I downloaded the Executor mod for Elden Ring. As soon as I got to Limgrave, there was no question of what to do. No setup, no running around. Straight to Stormvale, and straight to Margit. So let's talk about the mod. First off, it's not a complete port of the Executor's moveset. There's no Cursed Sword stance, nor Beast transformation. What you do have though, is everything you need for a flawless Sekiro-style deflecting experience in Elden Ring. While two-handing your sword, you can deflect every attack in the game apart from grabs, with the Executor's animations including the buffed Cursed Sword attack that's at your disposal as a guard counter when you get knocked back by a big attack. You also have the Nightreign Super Sprint on tap as your default running animation, which is incredible for running through areas without getting hit. I made the decision pretty early on in this run to avoid using guard counters all the time, as if you do for enemies with 80 or even 120 posture, you just end up stunning them every few seconds and don't get to see most of the attacks. Because of this, and something else I'll mention a little later on, you could make the most outrageous bully build with this mod. At this point, because I planned to skip Raya Lucaria, I did a little setup, got my weapon to plus 12, grabbed the Dex tier from near the Ball Prawn Shack, then headed to Fort Fareth in Caelid to grab some runes. Then to the Warmaster Shack to kill Banal. speak to Tanith at Volcano Manor, then hand in the bell bearing to buy Assassin's Gambit. Then I headed into Liurnia Lake, near the Blood Church, to kill the Scarab for Bloodflame Blade. Then to the Church of Vows for some more runes. After realising that I needed way more runes for the Bloodflame Blade requirements, I went down to Shifra River for the Scar Seal to use it for now. Then it was time for Noble. The runes were enough to meet the Bloodflame Blade requirements, so I then headed to the Lux Ruins in Altus for a better talisman, before riding up towards Lane Dell to bully the Tree Sentinel. Now time for the big guy. After the fight, I duplicated his remembrance for some extra runes. Then to Lane Dell. And the combination of Assassin's Gambit and the Super Sprint means that you don't need to worry about getting hit running through dungeons. I killed the Avatar in the Avenue for some extra runes, leveled up, then headed for Godfrey. Now, something you may have noticed that I hadn't at this point, as you can tell by the size of my stamina bar, is in this mod, perfect deflects have no stamina cost. And while this might sound a little overpowered, I think it's perfect. With Elden Ring's built-in deflecting hard tier, you always have to back off slightly and manage your stamina to avoid being posture broken on fast bosses like Godfrey or Radahn. In this mod though, you can go absolutely all in, and it's so much fun. In the mountaintops, I grabbed the Smithing Bell Bearing 3 from the Zamor ruins and used my deflections to safely get the Smithing 7s from the Golem statue. Then I headed across the freezing lake for another sacred tier, and the Smithing 7s on the rock nearby. Before Fire Giant, a quick trip back to the Lanedale sewers for the Lord of Blood's exaltation. Then back to Liurnia for the Winged Sword insignia. As I fought enough Godskins in Nightreign, I deleted them quick, with sleep pots, to get to the fight that I wanted to do. Before one of the big ones, I went back to Caelid to do Millicent's questline for the Prosthesis Talisman. I've never really understood From Software's decision not to give us the main bosses in Nightreign. Don't get me wrong, I love Nightreign, and I've put way more hours into it than I ever thought I would. But the unfortunate realisation I had while playing this mod is that there is almost nothing in Nightreign more fun to me than most of the fights in this run. I think our chances of getting more Elden Ring bosses in Nightreign are low, and getting Nightreign characters in Elden Ring even lower. But if watching this video doesn't make you want either of those, I don't know what will. And if you're wondering whether you can stagger Malekith at the start of Phase 2 for the style points, so was I. Before Godfrey, I went back to Caelid to grab the Stone Barbed Tear for some extra posture break. And although he got deleted in this run, I've actually been back many times to fight Hoaraloo with deflects, and it's insanely fun. Just remember, you can't deflect the grabs though. The extra speed of Executor just feels like it was made for dealing with Elden Beast. I did so much damage that I very nearly killed him without doing any deflecting. Happily, I realised just in time, and had some fun for a while. Until, of course, he ruined it. Now for Plassie, and while the super sprint does feel a little cheesy for the lightning storm attack, the satisfaction of being able to deflect every other attack in this fight really makes up for it. Then to Moog. And while an Uchi build with Bloodflame Blade could delete this guy easily before phase 2, I took my time. Into the Shadowlands then, and after doing my usual route to grab the Shadow Fragments, I went to the Templetown Ruins to grab an extra one and the two-handed sword talisman to replace the ritual sword. Then into the Shadow Keep for some Metal Gear Solid action. Then remember you're playing as Executor and there's really no need to be stealthy around these guys. One interesting thing to note about both this mod and the deflecting hard tier is bosses that move around you a lot can sometimes hit you even if you parry perfectly. Just like Sekiro, the deflect only works when you're facing them, so you'll see me throw in a couple of dodges here on attacks that would hit through a perfect deflect due to positioning. Now it's time for one of the most fun fights in the game. And while you can easily use guard counters to bully him in this mod, I once again took my time with this one. And then there was a massive problem. I was having really good fun on this run, and I wanted to keep having fun. But it was now time to fight Leda, and I hadn't done either Arnspark's or Theolia's questlines. Happily, I then remembered that this was a modded run, not a build guide. Now it was time for Radahn, and in phase 1, like the deflecting tier, the fight is really fun and intuitive. Within a couple of attempts, I got my first hitless phase 1. The trouble is, phase 2 exists, and it's an absolute mess. You can perfectly deflect every sword attack, but you still get hit by Mikola in between. A lot of the combos are manageable with extra deflects, but in particular this ending pull that he does with 3 hitboxes all very close together was particularly fiddly to deflect perfectly. If this was a build guide, I probably would have settled into what would have been quite a long struggle. But there's one more little thing I haven't mentioned about this mod, which is that the Executor moveset applies to every katana in Elden Ring. So I grabbed myself a bigger katana and started leaning into guard counters. Now for Bale. And when playing with the deflecting hard tier, this is one of the fights where it feels almost useless, as it stuns you out of pretty much every attack opportunity and doesn't reward you with any posture break build. However, with Executor, you can happily deflect away knowing that the posture damage you're building will result in a massive attack opportunity when he staggers. And finally, going into the Melania fight, my plan was to go for deflection only strats for a drawn out but stunning fight. Quite quickly though, you realise that isn't going to work as she regains health on deflects, just like the hard tier. As a side note, I've never really understood this. If she doesn't regain on a parry, why should she on a deflect? However, with the Executor mod, I ended up loving this, as it puts pressure on you to be aggressive and get stuck in between parries. A deflect-focused game where bosses have health regain probably isn't something on everyone's wish list, but after fighting Melania as Executor, it's certainly on mine.